on this week's episode of In the Suite with Tina Powell.
I'm not looking for investors. This is my way to give back to our industry. Wow. I want to connect advisors. I do plan to share my best practice management tools and tips and any checklists that I've developed, things like that, over my 35-year career, and put that in the resource library.
Hi, this is Tina Powell, host of In the Suite, where I sit down with top women leaders and some of the biggest names in the financial services and the wealth management industry. Together, we'll discover some of their best secrets and top strategies to grow a great business, build a strong brand, and lead teams in the 21st century. I hope you'll enjoy hearing their amazing personal stories of triumph, trepidation, and transformation in hopes of becoming better leaders ourselves. The time for you to lead is now, and you're in the suite. Today, we're thrilled to welcome the incredible Carolyn Armitage in the suite. Carolyn is a force in wealth management, a true pioneer with a career that's redefined advisory, consulting, and executive leadership. As the founder and CEO of RIA Circle, she's not just building a network, she's igniting a movement. Within RIA Circle, Carolyn is shaping a vibrant, purpose-driven community where advisors gather to connect, grow, and empower each other, one meaningful connection at a time. In this episode, Carolyn takes us through her journey from her early days as a fearless young advisor to founding RIA Circle, an innovative community that empowers advisors through connection and learning. We'll also explore her unwavering commitment to giving back and how she sustains a balance between career and service. Since beginning her career as an advisor, Carolyn rapidly ascended the ranks of leadership roles across prominent wealth management firms, including HD Vest, now Avantax, ING Advisors Network, now Voya, and Thrivent Advisor Network. Her experience leading LPL's Financial's large enterprise consulting team and consulting with ECHELON Partners has given her unmatched expertise across the wealth management value chain. Formerly holding numerous FINRA and insurance licenses, she holds the CFP, CIMA, CLU, and CHFC designations and has a Bachelor in Science in Business Administration from the University of Minnesota and a Master's in Management from the American College. But that's not all. Carolyn's impact goes even further. Inspired during the financial crisis, she launched True Circle, a personal mission turned powerful nonprofit, creating care packages for those in need. As a devoted wife and mother of four, Carolyn instills the value of empathy and service in her own children who actively contribute to the organization. Carolyn's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of community, resilience, and service. Join us as we dive into her insights on building meaningful connections, her passion creating positive change, and her inspiring vision for a more inclusive industry right here in the suite. Carolyn Armitage. Wow. Take a seat in the suite. How are you doing today on this October 1st, kicking it off a new month?
New month, new quarter. Hi, Tina. It's great to be with you again.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's just been 2 months since you announced RIA Circle, where I'm absolutely thrilled to be a strategic collaborator. And let's not forget that just less than a month ago, I saw you in beautiful New York City at the 10th Annual Wealthies, where you're serving now as a judge. It was great catching up with you then. We're going to talk a little bit about Future Proof. Like, you have been crazy, crazy busy. So I appreciate the time so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. This was a big, huge announcement. I saw the story in CityWire too, and you and I talked about it at the Wealthies. I love these bold moves. This is exactly what In the Suite is all about. And would love to talk to you about the genesis of RIA Circle, what inspired you to establish RIA Circle, and how you envision impacting it in the financial services and the wealth management industry. So congratulations.
Thank you, Tina. It's been quite a journey, and I love the launch that we've had. So to answer your question, so I do consulting work, and I love my clients. I can only help about a dozen clients at a time, though. And that is impactful for those firms. I also wanted to see where I could solve other needs to be able to impact more people than I can with just my one-on-one consulting. And so I really took a look at where there's some missing elements in the industry. And one of those is where advisors really have this like drive to be connected. And I think all humans really have this drive to be connected with each other, feel like they belong. And as we've seen advisors migrate from the broker-dealer communities into the RIA community, they don't necessarily have that connection. And so I was really hoping to create something that would fill that void for them, as well as shorten their learning curve so they could learn from their peers and get not one-on-one consulting, but they can get peer consulting, if you will, as well as have access to a larger community and online resources. And so with that, I did my research and was able to roll out a really phenomenal online, secure, robust platform. And we're just getting the word out here this last month.
It looks like you really had a great response to this. Like it looks like you hit the ground running. You launched successful launch. Also helps, Carolyn, that you're a marketer and you know how to plan these things, right? What has the response been so far? From the outside looking in, it seems like you absolutely, like what you were saying, you definitely fulfilled the need for connection and community. We're going to talk a little bit more about like those kinds of aspects, but what has been the response? Are there a lot of advisors already on the platform?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I think there's about 130 billion in assets on the platform already. In addition to the circle captains that you see on the public page.
I've seen a few social media posts on LinkedIn. We're going to make sure everybody is following RIA Circle on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Talk about the selection process for these captains. And I know a few of them, it sounded like were former clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. So I intentionally kind of went through my Rolodex, if I could bring back an old term. And I was thinking through, because I couldn't possibly go through my entire Rolodex, but I was thinking through the folks that I have worked with in the past, really going back 25 years, quite frankly, and maybe even 30. And I was thinking through who are the amazing advisors that I have loved working with, who are willing to share with others. They're intelligent, they're nice people, they have a clean compliance record. And also I wanted advisors from a variety of levels of sophistication and geographic dispersion throughout the country. So I have folks all the way from up in Seattle, Washington, down into Florida, up into the New England area, certainly in California, down to Texas. Like I've got folks all throughout the country, which was very intentional. Also folks that have lifestyle practices to those that are running mega RIAs, 10 billion and up. So it's a really good dispersion so that it is a representation of advisors have a place here, no matter what type of business they're running, as long as it is RIA forward, right? So not everybody is fee only. Some folks are fee based in that they may still have some variable annuity trails, but they all really lead with advisory services and financial planning. And I really like that holistic approach.
How many captains do you have?
There's 20, I believe.
Wow. You know what? It reminded me of Vistage.
Yes.
Right?
I've had so many people say that it's like the Vistage, which is a CEO group for a variety of industries. Similar experience, except this are CEOs of just wealth management businesses. So it can take some of those concerns that folks have of running a business and also within our very regulatory heavy compliant industry. And so you're really facing similar scenarios, and very likely somebody has been in a situation that you may be facing and they can explain what they did to get through it and get to the other side. So I think Vistage is great. Other folks have mentioned Strategic Coach. Again, similar. That is a little bit more structure and in-person meetings. Presently, RIA Circle is only online. We may have in-person meetings in the future, but there's a lot of great meetings out there in the industry, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I want to build up RIA Circle to be very robust, and then it'll be a member choice, whether we do something in person or not. In the interim, we are doing meetups at conferences, like the one we just had at Future Proof. We did a nice little meetup there.
I saw that. Major FOMO for me not being able to attend Future Proof because I'm currently in treatment and couldn't go. But I was there last year, and I saw the announcement that you had the RIA Circle group within Future Proof. I think that was really, really cool. Are people actually getting together? You know, there's been a lot of talk about like Zoom fatigue and everybody meeting. And now we see like events like Future Proof coming back with a vengeance. What does the cadence look like for those circle captains?
So for the study group roundtables are what we're calling them. The cadence is monthly, and the groups are deciding how long they want to meet, certainly what day of the week and the time that they want to meet, but also do they want to do a 1 hour, a 2 hour, half day? It seems most folks are opting for a 1 to 2 hour meeting once a month, and then either quarterly or semi-annually doing like a half day deep dive into topics.
That I think is really good. It sounds like you're letting each RIA Circle captain kind of decide within their group. The RIA Circle captains, do they have a cohort that is based on geography or size of the RIA?
Yeah, so think of the community of RIA Circle as a bunch of smaller circles within the larger community. So each one of the group roundtables, we give them a name of a tree. The branches are connected and leaves signify growth, those type of things, right? You've got a good, strong foundation for the tree. Each one of the groups is more intentionally dispersed geographically as opposed to trying to do something local. That's actually very intentionally, because I didn't want folks to feel that they were with their direct competitors and perhaps couldn't be fully transparent the issues that they're facing. We find that happens pretty often with advisors in their local community. You're head to head for some clients. And so who wants to be vulnerable when you're faced with a competitor? So when you have the geographic dispersion, all of the groups really don't compete with each other for the most part, except perhaps for those groups that have a national footprint, which are only those that are 10 billion and above. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is either very localized or regional. And so the groupings, I do them myself, and they're usually because of the business that they're in, meaning are they fee-based or fee-only, as well as the size or the phase of growth that they're going through. So, for example, with my over a decade of consulting to advisors, plus my corporate work, I have found advisors go through different needs. For example, those that are having a practice, whether they're just getting started or it's a lifestyle practice, those under about 250, 300 million, they're going through one set of circumstances, right? And they have certain constraints because of their size. And then those between 250 million to a billion, if they're trying to get to a billion, they go through their certain growth pains, especially as they get to about 500 or 600 million in assets under management. And then 1 to 5 billion is another level of complexity that I can help them solve. They can help each other solve. 5 to 10 and over 10.
And is this a paid membership organization?
Yes, it is. So the platform that I am using, I know we'll talk about that in a minute. It's quite sophisticated and it's quite secure. The membership is roughly $1,800 a year. And I actually was going to come up with a cheaper, lower price And my pilot group said, no, we need to make sure people are invested in this.
Mm-hmm.
If it was free, everybody would come and nobody would show up, right? Like they would all join and then nobody would engage. And so for this to work, the members actually need to engage. So I made it a price point that isn't painful, but it's not just a $50 membership, right? So folks will think twice before joining, and can I commit to at least an hour a month, 12 hours over the next 12 months to participate in study groups? And that seems to work pretty well. Also, just to note, I was thinking of offering a monthly subscription to make the more bite-sized chunks as opposed to one upfront cost. And the pilot group again said, no, we don't want folks to be transient. We want them to come into RIA Circle, to come into the study group, and show up month over month over month. So that's where we're only doing annual memberships. But it is only a 1-year commitment.
That's amazing. So we were kind of, both of us were foreshadowing the technology back end because, nowadays, let's face it, it's a 2024 going into 2025 world. I was at Penn today, around the corner from UPenn, ordering Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, and I didn't talk to a soul. I put it on the digital screen. Everything now has a digital component technology back end. So really smart of you. What tools and platforms are you using on the back end to facilitate and scale?
Yeah, so I researched 25 different platforms online, SaaS platforms, where I could build this community. And I wanted something super professional because all of us in this industry have pretty high standards. I know I do. And so I wanted something that was secure, something that was robust and that we wouldn't outgrow. And I saw oftentimes how groups outgrew a platform, or they ended up being discontent with certain elements and they would move to another platform. And I didn't want to put our members through that. So I wanted something that we could grow into, whether we have 10,000 or 100,000 members in this over time. And so I went with a platform called HiveBright, with an H, think like a bee, Hive, and then Bright, BRITE. And it is a SaaS provider out of Paris. And they are the back end for many of the universities across the country, as well as large companies such as Coca-Cola. Forbes just signed on with them. Harvard University uses them. It's a really sophisticated platform. In fact, most of their users start with 10,000 people on the platform at one time. So I kind of overbought, but that was very intentionally. It's all self-funded. I'm not taking any sponsorship dollars. I funded it myself. It was cute. One of my clients even said, heck, not only do I want to be a member, I want to be an investor. I'm not looking for investors. This is my way to give back to our industry. Wow. I want to connect advisors. I do plan to share my best practice management tools and tips and any checklists that I've developed, things like that, over my 35-year career, and put that in the resource library. So it's you're mentioning the technology too. One of my mandates was that it was app enabled as well. So I do have a phone app as well as a Google app in production. It's getting there. That should be released by the end of October because we are all so mobile. I think it's crucial that you don't have to go to a desktop to be able to utilize the platform. And so it's a really robust platform. I've had just so much fun putting it together. And advisors have access not only to their study group, but to all the advisors in the community, that they can network with everybody there.
Do I have to be an advisor, or can I be a client service associate?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mandate I've put on the platform is that folks need to be a financial advisor, first and foremost. You either need to be an independent financial advisor, or you want to be an independent financial advisor. Maybe they're with a wirehouse. Maybe they're with a regional. In that case, those folks can use a personal email and not their work email for obvious reasons. And then those that are owners of firms, maybe they have given up their client base because they're now a full CEO and they're needing to run a lot of different departments and fuel the growth and things like that. So maybe they've given up their client base. They still would be registered as a financial advisor. So I do go through checks on anybody who applies to become a member, and I will pull up broker check and IAPD to see if they have been registered. I will pull up their website. I'll pull up their LinkedIn to make sure they are legit and that they're not like a sponsor trying to side door things, because I really want this to be a true, authentic advisor to advisor community. And I count owners who maybe have given up some of that client work and are running the RIA, or the C-suite executives that run complex RIAs as part of that advisor community. The vast majority of folks that we have on the platform today are financial advisors who also wear the CEO hat. There are some that are not doing client work, but those are in the minority compared to the rest of the folks.
Very interesting. One of the things I have to commend you on also on the branding side, I saw a social post with your logo at Future Proof on a espresso, which looked really cool. But my goodness, you were able to get RIACircle.com. Yeah. What a huge name score. Congratulations on that. There's so many of us that own multiple domain names.
Oh, yes.
You know, you think of an idea and then boom, you just kind of park it. But I really have to commend you on the fact that you did so much due diligence around your membership. We do the same thing over at Intentionally. Very hard to represent someone that has had a tremendous amount of disclosures and not such a great record. So I really like the way that you're doing that. And then on the technology side, I think that's a lesson for so many of our In the Suite listeners today. You know, you're building for the platform that you want to be in a couple of years from now. You're not building it for today, but your decisions, you're investing in your business. You know, you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your businesses, you're scaling growth. I mean, this is what this podcast is all about. This aspect of community. And Intentionally, my position also to, aside from being a partner, is chief of community. And I'm often asked what community means to me. So I would love to turn it around to another community leader. What does community mean to you?
Yeah, thank you. So I do love the symbol of a circle. It has very deep roots in actually our entire society, dating back, BC. And to me, communities are circles. We're facing each other as equals and willing to take each other as equals and to show up for each other. There's no judgment. Inside that circle is safe, right? It needs to be a very open, trusting community. And any other shape out there, when they spin, they actually form a circle. And so I was delighted that I could get RIA Circle, and the trademark is pending, but that's fully filed. And it was very intentional to have that circle because it does represent community so much. And it also represents kind of that unending growth cycle and constant renewal, which I've always been a fan of sharpening the saw. Hark back 30 years to Stephen Covey. I love continually learning. I know there's still more I can learn in this industry and in myself personally, for personal growth and communication. So to me, that circle represents that unending kind of cycle that we all go through. And so community means a lot to a lot of different people. Essentially, it means a safe space and the ability to come together to make a better, bigger circle, better community, better environment for all of us. And that is really what I'm trying to do for our industry, is to help our industry progress in an ethical, compliant, client-centric way.
A lot of what you talk about too within RIA Circle is about this idea of sustaining connections is something that we talk about. And again, I love your metaphor on the circle. It is interesting. It is the one shape you can continue to be accretive, and it never changes it never changes its shape. You recently had this as a LinkedIn post, and it was great because it drew me in. And then I since downloaded the report that I think it was like 82 pages. We'll have it for you guys in the links to the episode. But you highlighted this LinkedIn post, and I love it. You started as it can be lonely at the top, and you referenced the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory on the healing effects of social connection and community. Carolyn, wow, this comprehensive 82-page report. Who knew? I didn't know. Thank you. You drew me in. And what do you think are some of those best practices or strategies for RIAs that are looking to sustain strong connections within RIA Circle and within beyond?
So I'm a voracious reader, have been my entire career. And so I came across that study on a weekend, and it's like, wow, this is so helpful and pertinent to what we're doing with the community. Since COVID, and probably even before that, I think COVID probably put a spotlight on some of the mental health issues that our country face, that our youth face, those coming back from wars, et cetera, and just those that get estranged from their families, get divorced, those that are on their own. I know from my own personal experience, running a company can be very lonely. There are certain elements that you can't share with some of your team members, and that's hard. There are so many decisions that you have to make, not just week in, week out, but every single day. People are coming at you 360, right? Another reference.
Yeah, another.
Right? But it is like between your clients, your employees, the strategic partners you work with, your vendors, the thoughts that you have to improve your business. There's so much that you have to take in and filter to prioritize and determine what you're going to work on and make some very difficult decisions along the way. It can be really hard doing all of that. And so I have done a lot of consulting work with these CEOs, right, where they don't have necessarily the talent, or they don't want to rely on just their team members and they want some outside guidance. I help them with that in my consulting work. Not on the mental health side. I am definitely not a therapist, and this is not designed to be therapy or a replacement for therapy by any means. But I will share that I find having a community that you're a part of, being able to share the trials and tribulations that you go through in running a company, as well as being able to share your success with others and talk about all of that in a nice, safe space, feels really good. It's helpful to get it out of your head. Saying things aloud can make you vulnerable, but it is like a catharsis just to be able to share them out with folks. And if you don't have a partner, a life partner that is in this business, they don't understand necessarily the intricacies of what we're dealing with. And so it's helpful to be able to share that out with other executives who are also going through the same element or have gone through the stage that you're going through and can provide some mentorship and guidance on that.
Hey, sweet insiders, it's Tina here. I just wanted to take a moment to personally thank you for all your support. Your 5-star reviews and the love you've shown us on Instagram has meant the world to me and helps keep In the Suite going strong. If you haven't already, please make sure you're following along on Instagram for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, sneak peeks, and special announcement. Your feedback and energy keeps this community thriving. Thank you again for being such an amazing part of the In the Suite family. So I want to switch gears a little bit. Something that we talk about in the Suite that I'm always fascinated is how people get from point A to point B, particularly how women in leadership, that's basically how the podcast got started, I would be at events and I would be speaking to other women and saying, hey, how did you get here? You, on the other hand, like a lot of our guests, have managed your career. You've been in financial services, it looks like, for all of your career. You have led teams for some really, really big names. These are just a sampling. Everyone connect with Carolyn on LinkedIn. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We'll make sure that that link is in the show notes and the descriptions as well. But you've worked for big names like Avantax, Voya, LPL, ECHELON Partners, plus working around the wealth management space with, your own consulting and talking to some of the some really incredible leaders. What do you think are some of the key moves that really shaped your career? We're in 74 countries. We have women who are, and men, thank you to the guys as well. But, we have women who are particularly listening to In the Suite because they're looking to make a meaningful decision, a meaningful impact. It would be very interesting to see also to see where a lot of our guests, I noticed, Carolyn, even within a year's time, like if we repeated all of our episodes, all our 90 plus episodes, guaranteed that probably 30% are in different positions than they were, right? I just saw we both shouted out Cheryl Nash today. Right now, she's president of APL over at InvestCloud, right? That's making a great example of like women making big moves. You've made a lot of big moves. What are some of the key moves? What advice do you have for the people listening? We're turning over a new leaf. It's 2025. What's your advice?
Yeah, I would say that there were two big moves in my career. I started in the industry as an independent contractor, as an independent financial advisor. I had a great training program. I had terrific mentors. I was fearless. And so I did it. And I was very successful. In fact, I was the youngest branch manager that ever promoted in the history of the firm. And I loved being an entrepreneur. Well, because of some family circumstances, and I moved across country for my family, I ended up going inside and going corporate. This was pre-internet days, and I tried to serve my clients from Minnesota down to Texas, and it's back when a phone call was expensive. It just wasn't happening, and my clients would not have it. And so instead of starting over, I decided to take a corporate job, which was with HD Vest at the time, which is now Avantax. So tax professionals that were just getting into financial planning at the time. And it's like, I can absolutely help them. So I did a variety of roles there, and that led me to a variety of other corporate roles and starting and running many wealth management firms within the industry. And I loved it. I learned a great deal. I met so many wonderful people, many wonderful advisors. I helped them move from commission-based to advisory. I learned how to manage people. I learned about corporate structure, so much on human capital, compensation systems, corporate finance, and how to communicate in really complex matrix organizations and how complex the competing objectives are and how to win in those environments and when to cut your losses and move on. And the next big move was moving back entrepreneurial, and I love it. So that's what I am again today, and it is so natural. Anybody listening, I'm not looking for another corporate job. Corporate America has its place. I'm done. I always plan to sunset my career as an independent contractor, and so that is what I'm doing. I get to take at least a week off every month, sometimes a couple of weeks. I love working with my clients. The platform I just built will be a little bit on autopilot as we get a few months in. It's been a pretty heavy lift over the summer, but summer months are lighter for consulting, so that worked well. So kind of meta message is go with what you love to do and be excellent at it. Be a student of your industry, your profession. Never stop learning. And if you love what you do, it's not really work. Like I sometimes work till 10, 11 o'clock at night because I love to. Like, I can just get lost in it for hours. And I have to remind myself, or my husband reminds me, that I need to step away and take time for myself because it is so fun. I literally could do it 24 hours a day if my body did not need sleep and my mental health didn't need balance.
Well, talk about lifelong learning. You've got an incredible lineup of credentials. I don't want to gloss over this. I think it's really important. Again, listeners some are in the early stages of their career and weighing a decision of whether or not, should I get a CFP? Mm-hmm. Should I get a CMA? Should I get a CLU? Should I get a CHFC? We even had Trisha Rothschild on talking about CFA. And I am like, wow, you have an impressive line of those credentials as well as some licensing. You have degrees from the University of Minnesota and the American College. You know, was there somebody behind you? Was there a mentor? Was there a sponsor in your career that was just like, you know, gunning for you to get all these things? I recently came off of FinServe mentorship with a young, he's going to be Carolyn, he's a rock star. He's a rock star. I was like, wow. He really, really dazzled me. He was just past his 65 right now. He's in the CFP program. He's already employed at a wealth management firm. He just did his career. He's just managed all his decisions. His soon wife to be is a CPA. You know, you were saying something about husbands and wives and even, you know, spouses, no matter what, you can be in a same sex relationship, like just people coming together. Your partner could be in the industry and how sometimes that helps. But I am curious, how was there somebody that was helping to champion that in you, or did it come naturally?
Well, I was inspired early on in my career by some folks that I worked with at HD Vest, one of them being Herb Darwin Vest, who created the firm himself. He had every designation there ever was made, practically. And there also was a monetary incentive. If you get a new license, you pass a designation, we're going to give you some more money. I have loved learning ever since I was in college. Admittedly, high school, not as much. It wasn't until I got into college and post-college where I just realized this is pretty cool. Like, I absolutely love it. And so to me, the education element of those licenses and designation provided knowledge. The knowledge provided comfort and confidence so that I could go toe-to-toe with anybody in the industry. And let's face it, back when I started, it was probably 99% men in the industry, right? And it was the 80s, so I had super short hair. I cut all my hair off. I wore the expensive, nice suits to try to fit into this man's world. And the knowledge really helped give me that comfort and confidence needed, because I didn't want the fact that I was a female to have anybody think less of me. And your confidence all starts with yourself. It isn't derived externally, it's derived internally. And those were great props for me to have the courage to face any situation, any challenge, to raise my hand for promotions, to go for it, right? So I would encourage anybody to never stop learning. Take the course. Even when it's out of your own pocket, it is an investment in yourself that no one can ever take away from you.
Hallelujah to that. I love it. I love it. Another thing is, I was researching your background again. You know, I know you, but I was like, wow, I didn't see the philanthropy side coming. It has been a big theme. I'm not surprised. It has been a big theme here in the suite. For the past 14 and a half years, everybody, you've been the CEO, the board chair, and the founder of True Circle organization, a nonprofit providing disaster and humanitarian relief. That's been something with Asheville, North Carolina, the recent hurricane hit in Florida. We're in an age of social media where we see disasters. You go to any city and you see homeless people. I watched your YouTube video and I was really, really moved by your mission. Listeners can check it out at www.truecircle.org. Another amazing character attribute about you, given contextual information that we all have, knowing that, hey, you're not home knitting, you're working for big organizations throughout your career, you're consulting, you're earning credentials, you're a lifelong learner. And I was like, wow, how does she have the time? Where did this strong sense of charity and philanthropy come from?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking. So I feel we all have the obligation to send the elevator back down, right? We're in an industry that has a lot of intrinsic rewards and financial rewards, as well as intrinsic rewards. I love helping people. Those roots come from a very difficult childhood, which would be for another podcast. But because of that, I came out the other side through all of that, wanting to help other people. People are not always able to help themselves. Sometimes they get into a bad situation. Sometimes they screw up, right? True Circle came about during the financial crisis in 2008 and 9. And my husband and I were both laid off pretty much within a couple of months of each other. And I was like, wow, that was rough. We've never experienced that before, but we knew we were going to be okay. We're both very well educated, very employable. We'll be fine. So it came around to my birthday when this was happening. And normally we did something really grand for my birthday. And it just didn't feel right to spend so much money on things that aren't necessary when so many people were hurting during that financial crisis, because that ran pretty deep. Not as bad as the Great Depression, but next in line. And so with that, instead of focusing on myself or our relationship, I wanted to do something for other people. So decided, let's make a backpack with food and supplies in it, and I'll make as many as I was old. So we got all the supplies, put all that together, went down to Skid Row in LA and handed them out. And it was such an amazing experience that I decided, you know what? We're going to do this every year for my birthday. And so I created a birthday club, and some of my friends in the industry are like, hey, we've got leftover tchotchkes, trinkets from, the booths where people hand things out at conferences. Here's some leftovers. Or we're rebranding. Can't use these anymore. Here's a bunch of shirts. Here's pens, notebooks, all of that. And so I started doing this year over year. And one of my industry friends and colleagues said, you could actually create this into a nonprofit pretty easily. And sure enough, she was right. Because it's such a pure concept, my husband and I have gone to many benefits and charities and written the big checks, but there's nothing like actually doing the work and handing it out to people in need. We've also taken our kids along. In fact, my daughter made the video.
Oh, wow.
In school. Yeah.
That's amazing, because the woman who you're helping, who gets that go bag, she is almost got tears streaming down her face going thank you, thank you, thank you. It was so incredible. I just thought this was such a brilliant idea. And now your kids are involved, your daughter. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
They're amazing humans. And it has been wonderful. We're very protective and safe when we go out. And sometimes we've taken several carloads because neighbors come and Girl Scouts have helped and local churches and things like that. And we've met people who hadn't eaten people that were just out of jail, people that have lost their job. Housing's very expensive in LA. Some people went bankrupt because of medical issues, health issues, right? The cost of medical care if you don't have the right insurance, and even the co-pays can be tough for people to pay for. So we have done interviews and we've met so many people along the way. And it's not all druggies or people who want to be on the street. Sometimes people just run into bad luck. They don't have the best mental acuity. There's so many reasons why people are on the streets, and we're not solving any issues. This is not a long-term solution. This is a quick hit, a gap filler, connecting with people, helping them feel seen and heard, and providing some food, some sustenance for a couple of days for them.
I love this. This is such a great idea. Again, I commend you.
And Tina, if I may, bring this in to a busy life. I raised 4 kids, big career. It's hard to do all of that during a 9-to-5 environment. So having my own organization allowed me to do it at nights, weekends, if I couldn't sleep because things were in my head. I can work on this anytime. And that really also helped the flexibility.
Incredible woman you are. 4 kids on top of that. I'm just like, my jaws.
And 1 grandchild.
And a oh yes, congratulations. You're a grandma too on top of that. I love that. That's amazing. I can identify with you, Carolyn. It's I've 2 granddaughters, and I was just with Mackenzie last night. Actually, it was big. It was, it really is such a blessing for that and what an incredible gift to get to that milestone.
Absolutely.
We talked a little bit about the fact that you're this voracious reader. We're asking this question anyway. I'm wondering, what are you currently reading right now?
Yeah, actually, I picked this up at Future Proof, and it was You're Not Supposed to See That by Josh Brett. And I'm actually halfway through it, and I've dog-eared at least a dozen pages of amazing quotes, scenario stories that Josh wrote. It's such a good read. I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. We have an Intentionally in Friends book club. So he's on the list. We've got Daniel Crosby, Rory Henry, Christine Benz from Morningstar. So so I'm gonna be hitting Josh up on Twitter DM, on XDM for a 2025 appearance. I saw that at Future Proof they had like a special author section. Brian Portnoy of Shaping Wealth, who is also on the book club. Yeah, exactly. Right. His book was phenomenal too. Just like, and I would think that you guys would get along handsomely with your love of shapes, Carolyn.
Oh yeah, we've gone through it. And somebody actually at one of the dinners tried to say, what about RIA square? It's like a square when it spins becomes a circle.
That's funny. That's great.
So you can have RIA square if somebody wants it out there. I'm not going with all the different shapes.
I love it. I love it. Before our last question, I know that people want to definitely get in touch with you. What is the best way to get in touch with you and follow your work?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Certainly connecting on LinkedIn is a great spot. You can look at riacircle.com. In there is my email, hello@riacircle.com. That email does go right to me. And my phone number is there as well on the homepage. Although admittedly, if you call and I don't have your number in my contacts, I do not answer the phone. But you're welcome to leave a message and I'll call you back. And then in my consulting work, I have wealthmanagementconsulting.com and carolynarmitageconsulting.com that you're welcome to reach me there. And if you want to schedule some time to talk either about RIA Circle or consulting work, there's a Calendly link there that you can set up some time and we can discuss it.
Nice. I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to take you up on your offer. And what we're asking in the suite, listeners, what they are wanting to know is, obviously the last couple of years have been a little bit of a health challenge for me personally. So I want to know if you can share a personal health or wellness tip that significantly benefits you.
Yeah, I would love to. So this tip was given to me by my therapist. She's a somatic therapist, and I'm a big thinker, right? Like I love to think. I love to create, and I never have enough time to implement all the wonderful ideas I create up here. And that also has its self-sabotage moments as well. And so what she shared with me is to get out of my head and get into my body, meaning that I would try to meditate because I heard that was good for you. And because I'm such a big thinker, it was really hard for me to do. So what I learned is that yoga was actually created to be able to relax your body so that your mind can relax, as well as Tai Chi. My preference is Tai Chi over yoga. I do both, but doing Tai Chi before you meditate allows you to get all that stress out of your muscles, out of your ligaments. And then when you're done with that, your mind is calm and at peace, and you can meditate, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, and be much more centered in yourself. So check out Tai Chi. I know it's kind of one of those out there elements, but it's been a game changer for me, as well as having some other creative outlet where you get to use your hands, not just your mind. For me, it's painting. I find painting to be a form of meditation because I can get lost in that process and go with the flow of the paint. And you don't have to paint something with a purpose, with an outcome, that it's going to be amazing artwork that you hang on the wall. There's several of mine that are just stuffed away in a closet that I will repaint over the canvas because it was just the act, the process of painting, where it really is called actually art therapy. Again, getting out of your head into your body and letting that creativity flow.
That is phenomenal, phenomenal advice. Carolyn Armitage. Wow. What an episode here. What a conversation with you. I'm so proud of you. I commend you. I applaud you. I honor you for all of the amazing work that you're doing. You really are a passionate and purposeful woman here. So good luck with RIA Circle. Again, I'm really thrilled and honored to be a strategic collaborator. And I know that there are lots of advisors who are listening, who are going to join and who will benefit from that peer-to-peer learning environment that you created. And again, best of luck to you in the future. I know we'll be seeing each other at industry events. And I'm just so thankful that you came here in the suite to just share your story today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Tina. The pleasure's all mine. You're such a joy to work with. I'm so honored to be one of your guests. Thank you.
You're listening to In the Suite, the podcast that brings you inspiring stories of women leading the way in financial services and wealth management, along with the men who champion and empower them. Our producers are Tina Powell and Kevin Hirshhorn. Our editor at large is Kevin Hirshhorn. Our content writer is Tina Powell. This podcast is sponsored by Intentionally, a growth design consultancy working with fintech and finserv companies to turbocharge their marketing efforts. If you want more information, please email me at tina@growintentionally.com. And please also connect with me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me that you guys keep listening, be part of this community. We've got listeners in 74 countries, 1,615 cities worldwide. Please consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. It would mean the world and help us to be found by more people. Please, I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn and hope you'll follow In the Suite Pod on Instagram. Thank you again for listening and subscribing.